Welcome back to the channel, and we've got a new deck here. Let's see what's in the energy. Just a moment. Again, don't force it if it doesn't fit. You'll know if it's for you. We have the Tower in reverse. It's our opening card. We have the Chariot again in reverse. This deck is not going to go upside down. It's not though. Okay. Nine of Wands. Maybe a little more clarity here. Nine of Cups in reverse. So we did have one upright card. Oops. Interesting. Let's see. Bear with me. It's the new deck, so we're putting it together. Getting that, like, there's something uncomfortable here, right? And there's a truth that should have come out that's been suppressed. Okay. And because like the regular tower is like the truth crashing through and like blowing everything up. But this is like somebody actively holding the walls up on something that should have already fallen. And so that's keeping the revelation from landing the way it needed to. In the previous reading, I think that if these are related or similar energy, or like both are you, it could just be that's why you were in that stalled out conflict a little bit, is trying to figure out this information, right? Maybe that's why you're on the channel, right? That's kind of what we do here. Something very false was being protected from getting out. And so, yeah, the disruption that the honesty would have caused has been avoided because this chariot reverse too it's as a clarifier basically. Um, this is the wheels coming off. I shouldn't laugh at this because I'm just like probably sad here, but I'm just getting a picture of like this was somebody who was able to, normally able to hold himself together, or maybe that was both of you or them. Um, and then it's like they lost control of the narrative. It's another way to say it, and or lost control of herself in the situation, and that's part of the issue. Um, there's no discipline here to stay the course, and but there's momentum from it's like a chariot, right? But it put her somewhere she wouldn't go, or him, or I'm getting a picture, but if they weren't thinking straight. So if you were wondering, did something happen? You're suspicious. Um, Seek more confirmation, but this is clearly saying that yeah, it did, and it was hidden from you. Maybe you're gaslit. That happens a lot too, right? So let's see. Oh well, yeah. So the two nines here, right? Another confirmation here because that's not 10. But, just a solo energy. Um, they've still got their walls up, but they're exhausted, right? And maybe she was exhausted. I'm just gonna say she, because I'll take it as it fits, whatever. Guys, I'm just gonna go the opposite direction. So she was already running on empty. The relationship was. We'll go with her. She's carrying these wounds. Her defenses are up as a reflex, and that's like it's like giving like, that's like maybe she grew up abusive situations or something like that, or like emotional abuse, I guess, would probably. And so that's how you survive. You've got your walls up. You don't admit defeat. You don't give somebody a loaded gun to shoot you with. The truth. They were never rewarded with the truth, right? They were rewarded for tricking or deceiving the parent. Because one of those parents of like, they were never like, ah, good job. I'm disappointed, but you told the truth. And that counts. Instead, it's like they told the truth, and then that's when they got their ass handed to them every time. And it was, and there are some parents that are just like, you ask them for advice, or they're just like, yeah, just lie, because that's morality is different for everybody. So that's why we talk about dating with intention and looking for these kind of red flags. This is the kind of stuff that happens. So what's this worse is this personality will also accuse you of doing stuff because shame is their number one enemy. I'm getting caught up. I'm seeing a whole picture here. I'm sorry. But this is a gut punch. The Nine of Cups reversed here is like they were empty inside and looking for something to fill it. It's a clarifier in the kind of Nine of Wands here because they are exhausted, but they got their walls up. But instead of being whole within themselves, reversed, it's like, yeah, they're looking for somebody or something to fill it. I get it. So that's your Nine of Cups reversed. And again, it's not that don't take this personal because it's not like they were unsatisfied as a result of it being your fault, right? There's so many different reasons, and this could be someone preying on them emotionally. This could be a validation wound that every new person they meet, if that person's withholding validation, then they're going to them, or a thousand different things. And again, if they don't have the morality, if there was something about your relationship that required them to be performative, I guess is one thing, to make them be, if they were forced to be the person, it's giving like this is the kind of person that um, doesn't isn't great with long-term relationships, but they win people over at the beginning by being whoever that person wants to be, but they don't know how to show up authentically in a relationship and find mutual compromises and that allow them to themselves to be who they really are. So they're always kind of changing who that is based on another person, because that's what they've learned that they have to do to get love. And then with all these vulnerabilities, because they never really get a true connection based on being loved for who they are, when they meet somebody new, they take on the characteristic of that person, or what they think that person wants. And sometimes that's just a physical thing. It could not even mean that she wanted to have, and to cheat necessarily or whatever. It's just that with that movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, when he accuses Clementine of cheating on him by somebody that she just met, because he's like, well, that's what you do, right? That's how you get people to like you, right? It's just like, dang, like he's just brutal. But again, that may not be the situation. That's just the picture I'm getting, for somebody here. Um, because they feel hollow and they're vulnerable to whatever shows up just to feel like yeah, even temporarily. So let's get some more clarification on this. We have Eight of Wands reversed. Something reversals. This is wild. I'm gonna flip the deck. Three of Pentacles. Queen of Wands. So staying somewhere you don't want to, because I mean it's just a charismatic that they're becoming and putting on the energy of a charismatic person. You have the Four of Wands. So all wands except for this pinnacle here. Very interesting. Look at these cards. This is a new deck for me. What I'm kind of getting here, you know how people like tell on themselves, and sometimes it's like it's not what they say. Sometimes it's what they don't say, or what they say instead of what they don't say. Like when confronted, the state of wands reverse is kind of like um, instead of saying you're crazy, if you feel like acting like maybe even bluffing or something, or like you're just whatever it is, and they're just like you can't prove it. That's not something that a innocent person says. That's that's somebody who is, you know, their way of dealing with people who are calling them out. Which again, these dark personalities, again, they have lots of masks. They don't seem like a dark personality until they're confronted, and then when they're confronted, that's when their reality, um, that's when they're the most dangerous because their reality is like um, their their biggest fear. They're it's like when it's the energy of being trapped in a corner like as a feral animal or something. That's how they become when they're confronted with like being exposed, or someone seeing beyond their mask. Right? It's irrational. It doesn't make sense that they would be just freaked out or something like that. But that's a little bit here. I mean, I'm speaking up of like something like that. Like they say things that tell you all you need to know. Um, because just an innocent person would have been like, what are you talking about? Or whatever. Um, but to jump to like, can't prove it, or whatever. I mean, and that's just an example, but you'll know if you can see something like that, because this is like saying to like look to mixed signals. Communication doesn't land very cleanly, and then with that being Three of Pentacles here too, is that like other people know that she's lying about this. I don't know if that means they were involved. Maybe people know that you wouldn't even think no, but you kind of know that they know. If that makes sense. Um, Other people involved in it too, like covering for her or helping gaslight you, participating and keeping you in the dark. Um, Mutual friends and or you know family. Just the slowdown in information and the feeling of you doubting your reality was deliberate and by all involved, I would say. Again, let the evidence point where it does. It's not. I'm not saying to grasp at straws or affirming someone's solution. This is more about saying you know what you know, but gaslighters are real, and a lot of times they travel in packs. So it's very interesting here because because the Queen of Wands would be this like confident person, and she doesn't need the validation. You know, she has a confidence so much that it's magnetizing, um, and so yeah, maybe she felt like this like was going to experience would help her cross into that energy, or she's just a confident liar a little bit too. Like she's so confident in her truth, um, that it makes it seem real. Like she believes it so hard that you believe it. But then she's saying little stuff that like undermines it completely. There's something funny, but again, it's life or death for them in an ego death, right? Because the narcissism is all about protecting this very wounded inner child, with radical, absurd theatrics. And so that's why their masks are so powerfully cultivated. Um, and they're always telling you what they think you need to know. Truth is relative to you. They've got different truth for different people. Um, so sometimes the moments you look back on and you're just like cherishing, and it's really, and again, this is a he for some of you, but she's showing up in that way. That's just like exactly what you needed, and you feel like you can beat it, you can build on it, and it's like, wow. It helps you to forget the bad moments and to take blame for them as they want to help you do. But this Four of Wands is like, yeah, part of this too is like this is a vampiric energy, and so by taking from you and channeling it into a new future or new situations, that is, you know, they manifest off of other people's energy and they draw confidence off of your by how they put other people down. You hear about the people that have a Schadenfreude or whatever. They like to see people get hurt, like to see pain. And these are people who feel nourished by that. And there's forums online about people who confess this and describe it perfectly, and some well documented psychology. Um, and some people are just bad, and that's a red flag. Um, so yeah, let's build on this though. So I'm just getting so much like filling in the gaps here. I'm not pulling cards. Seven of Swords or Seven of Swords. This is Queen of Wands, Seven of Swords. Hmm. It's very interesting. Hangman. Seven of Swords, Hangman. Cards. This is telling a story. I'm going to a Six of Sword though. You're leaving calmer waters. Three of Swords. So a lot of swords here. What happened? Yeah. What I'm kind of seeing is like the most important piece of information is the one that's actually missing here. Um, Again, kind of going back to that initial item. Um, and with the hangman there too, like I mean, it's giving betrayal energy big time, but it's also like I think she's got a completely different perspective on what she did. She flipped the script in her own mind, and that could be she's believing. No, it's more like it's not believing her own life. It's more like what she did makes perfect sense to her. The rationalization is she told the story. Tell herself a story where betrayal is necessary and even justified. That the deck doesn't believe believe her, right? But it's literally rationalization. Um, and she's already moved on, and she's actively putting distance between herself and this. And the Three of Swords is keeping it real because, hmm, yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, her piece is coming at the cost of your grief. But again, it's just not call a call to grief. I mean, in the sense it could be, grieve it, mourn on, or grieve it, mourn it, let it go, move forward. It's probably a good thing to be free of this person. I don't know all the details. Um, hmm. She might feel some of the pain herself, but I feel like she's bearing it. Or, this is a person who's not honest with themselves, is not in touch with their emotions, and kind of just exists in survival mode. And it could be an impulsivity that they're just used to living and dying by, and then letting the chips fall as they may. Um, mm. What's interesting is like the deception and the departure are kind of the same moment. So it's also like this might be hard to believe, but like it's giving like creating enough of a cover to leave cleanly here too. It's not just like hiding what happened, um, but it's like hiding what needed to be hidden so that the exit would go smoother. Um, I don't know how smooth it was, but it's just giving that it would have been worse if you knew the full picture. So much worse. And so that's maybe where her piece is kind of coming from, is because she feels like, yeah, she was caught, but mm, she was not confronted with the reality of all she did, and there was enough there for her to make it seem like it's your fault, or at least tell you to move on, to get over it. Like they pack your bags, mm, or they pack their bags, and then but then yet still have the nerve to act surprised when I want time for them to go. But like the leaving, and I had this thought before. The leaving or the end of the relationship was always the point, but they made it seem like if they engineered it right, they made it seem like it was your idea so that they could claim the victim, maintain the upper hand, and save face. Wow. Because this is the kind of person that would, save face is everything. Um, this was orchestrated. This is a control it. It could be malignant narcissist. This is someone, if it, don't fit it, if you haven't seen evidence, it's in this, it's maybe not your person, or take along what resonates. But if you've been wondering, and there's been a history of evidence that you're not sure what to do with, or if you've been gaslit, for years or something, um, this is somebody who orchestrates situations and then plays dumb. Real good at playing dumb, and real good at managing your reaction. And that's what's like supernatural feeling about some of these characters, is that Like they know your triggers and they know how you respond to said triggers. And so that's when they're a master manipulator because this kind of tantrum at this point, hitting this note and doing these things will get you to do this, this, and this, and then you find yourself, you know, in the chess game, when you make certain moves that forces people to make counter moves or lose, or make bad decisions. Um, yeah, because reading diagonally now, which I think is real, pretty, it's a good thing to do a lot of these kind of readings. Yeah, let's see, because then we got the Hangman and the Three of Swords. This is kind of like so well, because I'm like I'm trying to break your heart. This is like breaking your heart and believing that they had to do it or that was the point. Again, if your pain is their piece or something, or if like oh yeah, Taylor Swift on the TTBD album, he has that line about like, did somebody hire you or whatever? Did you keep a gun under the bed or what, are you like some kind of spy or something? Did someone pay you to ruin my, what was supposed to be like my greatest summer? I'm paraphrasing, whatever. But this just feel like purposeful. Yeah, she's comfortable, which is crazy. Okay, we got. Because I want to understand this Queen of Wands here, because that's Queen of Wands in reverse. I could see, but and I guess if I hadn't flipped the deck like I did, it would have been. But it's Queen of Wands, Four of Wands. Again, the advantage of being the manipulator is that you've already processed everything and can move forward, leaving the other person to try to figure out what the hell happened. Sometimes you just have to be like, well, bad people do bad things. I mean, the deck keeps saying the same thing different ways, basically, which is kind of cool. It's like a confirmation. Don't be surprised if somebody rebuilds the situation in a way that lets them sleep at night and then calls you delusional, right? Um, and because they know they've fed you enough to get you to fill in the blanks and take the blame or accuse you. Mhm. You know, because I don't always believe in demons, but like sometimes when it's like someone is really good at playing dumb, or there's like a little helper that is able to orchestrate things. Sometimes it feels that way. When you deal with these personalities and you feel like you're making decisions. Um, let's get one final card here just to kind of put a bow on this energy and move forward because I do think that's the ultimate goal here is to let this go and just let you know bad people be bad people. We have the Knight of Wands, right? Just move forward. You will love again. Okay, there will be romance with you. Look, take all these lessons and let them. Don't project this and see ghosts everywhere, right? But think about the last time you talked to somebody who had real empathy. That if you tell a story about your bad day and they react like, "Oh, that's got to be so hard," or like real things, and are willing to sit with you and hold that space for you, versus they just change the subject to what they want to talk about, right? That's a huge red flag, I feel like. And somebody who constantly needs validation and has a reason why they need it, but then never has the bandwidth to validate you, right? And I know it's easy to be a guy and to like, oh, I need validation, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And again, it can be a turn off to be a guy who needs validation in the early stages of the relationship. I'm not saying to go overboard and needing validation from the person because that could be, um, a lot of women don't like that, whatever reason. But when the relationship starts to be a solid connection, and this person is wanting to give space for you more than you're demanding it or asking for it, and they really want to know how your day was, and you start to like, they're asking questions to get you to give more than surface answers. Um, that's real good. red flag. I mean, green flag. So, yeah, well, we can dig into more of that kind of stuff here in future readings. If you like that, please do comment, but at least like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.